when do we use this? So blended learning works when there is a lot to share and very little time. I think all of us have been up against this challenge multiple times over in our careers, where there's some training that needs to be rolled out, there's a lot of content, and there's no time. And this is where, you can use a judicious blend of classroom time and save the rest of the learning for online learning. It also works when you need to coordinate between multiple stakeholders and learners. So this is one area where you just can come up with a blend which kind of addresses the needs of your a diverse learner group. And when you have, of course, as I mentioned earlier, when you have geographically dispersed employees. And another situation where blended learning really works is when your content has a very short shelf life, or when you need to train employees frequently. So when you have a new release and you cannot afford to get everybody into one session, there are frequent updates to that particular training. For example, software training. There are frequent releases, and every time it's not possible to put them through a very full-fledged training. So you quickly capture the main updates, the main new feature releases, and you bundle it together as a blended solution, and you have an e-learning component which addresses it. And then when you want to plan career progression, because there's something that's ongoing, and you would want to have various resources available for those learners who have this goal in mind and want to proceed accordingly. Now, here are some options for blended learning, which, as I mentioned earlier, uh, depending on which method you want, there are various formats available. So if you have a formal training in mind, you could go in for a classroom session or a full-fledged e-learning curriculum. Again, if you want to just leave it to the learner and have just self-directed learning, you could either go in for micro learning modules, which are nothing but short learning bites, which are standalone, which are self-contained, or you could go in for longer e-learning courses. And then you have your just-in-time training, as I mentioned earlier, at the point of need, when you just need it. This is where mobile learning really works well. And then you have various digital resources that I mentioned. For social learning, if that's the method you prefer, you have your discussion boards, which new age LMSs support. And then you have your online forums where there's a thriving community of practice. And then you have, of course, your performance support, which can be job aids, videos, how to guides, and so on.